I'm Phoebe, and I'm going to make over my dining room. Come along with me. Okay, this is just what it's looking like right now. I've got my gear for the project. Now, this room is not looking that bad. Let me show you zoomed out. This is the zoomed out version. It's a little bit hard to get it all in here. Now, this room has kind of already partly been on a journey. Like, I'm liking some of the furniture I've got. Not everything in here is that bad. Let me just talk you through what it was like when we first moved in.
You can see we have what you would call pub carpet, and then there was wallpaper on the walls and this like gold detailing around the middle. There was also these curtains, and the furniture that was in here before was very kind of like traditional. So we just wanted to do a quick freshen up, and we painted all the walls white and just replaced this carpet. And it's a long story about the floors, but I'm not happy with the grey colour, but that's what we have.
So after this whole journey, you know, we've removed the wallpaper in here because it was too busy. We needed to like reset and like get back to basics to like get this under control, because there was so much going on in this house with like the carpet and the wallpaper and everything. So it's white, but now it's time to have an experiment. So yes, this is a room makeover, but it's also an experiment, because we're going to do a really big renovation soon and build right out here, and this will be the kitchen back there. And this will be the living room. It'll be one big open plan thing.
So here's some renderings that I've done of what it's going to look like. These are just like placeholders. What I do is I get furniture pieces and things just in the right spot, just for size, to understand the space. So my process is, once I'm really happy with the layout, then I will go in and really pick colors and specific furniture. But that's the part that actually takes quite a long time for me. Not just because I'm indecisive, but also it's just more fiddly in the software I use. It's actually a free website if you want to use it. I'll leave it linked below. I also have a video showing how I use it. It's literally like playing The Sims, so highly recommend.
But this spot in the house is the best representation of what that space is going to be like with the light and everything. So while I've thought about putting really kooky creative colors on the wall, yes, that would be fun, but actually this is a perfect opportunity to do a full experiment, to test out a color, to see, will this look good? And if it does, then I can really confidently go forward with that color choice with the design of the future renovation. So it just makes sense that we call this a makeover, but also an experiment.
So while we get started with the painting, let me explain to you what's going on here. So I've consulted with my interior designer / sister, and she gave me some really clear instructions about what I need to do for this room. I chose this color called Beige 10 by the brand Lick. I really like it. I knew the whole purpose was to test out this type of color in this position in the house. And so I presented that to my sister and I said, what do you think? And she said, good idea, but your dining table and that console table are brown. So if you make the walls brown, everything in the room is going to be brown. So instead of having white walls and brown furniture, why don't you flip it and you're having your brown walls and add some white, and she specifically said contemporary touches to it. Otherwise, it's going to feel too brown. So I'm taking on those instructions and I am following them. Another instruction she gave me actually was definitely paint the whole room floor to ceiling. And it's easy for her to say because she was not the person painting the ceiling. But I do think it was the right choice and I agree with her on that. So I'm glad that I followed her instruction. And I always am glad I follow her instruction. She does have quite a clear way of being able to visualize these rooms, you know. I need to use this software and make renderings to be able to imagine it, but she doesn't.
The painting is finished. So I'm going to start putting the room back together, and I'm going to focus first on this back wall because it's actually the only full wall in the room. Now over here, this is actually where the dining room will be. So when we renovate, this will become a living room and this will actually be the dining room. So the dining room will be a living room, this living room will be a dining room, the blue room / playroom in there, probably about the whole thing, like that whole size of that room is going to be a butler's pantry. It's going to be a very, very big, like, butler's pantry, utility, mudroom, all in one. It's gonna be the place where you keep like the toaster and the juice machine and the smoothie machine, light bulbs, battery, toilet paper, all sorts of, pantry stuff, but then also school bags, bikes, scooters, prams, boots, shoes, coats, hats, water bottles, gym bags, all of that stuff is going to live in that space. So it's got a lot of hard work that it needs to do, hence why it's going to be so big. My goal with this is that by making such a huge room as like household storage, I suppose, my goal is that because we have all of this space and it's gonna really be enough space for everything to fit and for it to work, not just shove into a cupboard that's all you've got, but like really plan it out and have what we need. My plan is that the rest of the house will be nice. And all of our stuff will be like this dumping ground, but it will be an organized dumping ground, don't get me wrong. But the rest of the house won't have to have that kind of junk in it. So the whole house will look better, but also it will function better, I think, because all of that stuff kind of does belong together, I think. So back to this room as of today, we're working with what we've got because it's this short-term thing. We've got to figure out what we can do with what we've got. Like, I'm not doing big things because it's temporary. It's just really a paint color experiment and seeing when we put all the things together, how does it look? For now, the first thing that I've done, which she told me to do, is these lights. She said, she was like, I don't know whether you should replace them or not. And I'm like, it's all temporary. So can we work with what we've got? So she said, okay, go and get white contemporary, just neutral lampshades and put them on there. So I've done that. Let's just see what the lights look like now. And then I'm going to add the lampshades and let's see the difference. One thing you might not be able to see from this is the light bulbs have like a creative effect, like a glitter paint on them, because I think they're trying to make them look like flames. They also have like the candle thing to make it look like a candle base. They're not terrible lights. Like, of all the lights in the house, they're not that bad. Like, this is the one, and we're gonna get to it. These ones are the ones that are really just so ugly. We'll get to the ceiling light in a minute. Let's just focus on this. I'm gonna leave the bulbs for now. I don't think the bulbs are gonna bother me with the glitter effect. Like, it won't matter when they're in a lampshade. I don't think. Let's see. Doesn't that just look so much better? Like, that is all of a sudden substantial, and I just really prefer that. And it does look more contemporary, as Liv said it would. Okay, let's hang the art. This is it. See how big it is? It was just, I don't know, so it's just a special, I could just tell that it was a quality thing. So I'm really happy I got it. I think it's just meant to be at my house. Now this is another one where the hooks that are there are what's there. So while it probably would be good if this was slightly lower when you think about the height of the console table, I can't be bothered, so it's good enough. Also, it's a really rainy day today. It's like overcast outside. It's been raining a lot. I'm really kind of waiting for when we have a sunny, bright day and I can really tell what the color of this room actually is going to be like, because it feels really dark at the moment, but it's just a particularly overcast day and it's been a bit like that lately. So yeah, it's kind of hard to see. Maybe over here. Like you can see, obviously the room is still in chaos, but we're getting somewhere. I'm really, really happy with these lampshades, like A+ from my sister. This is why interior designers they know what they're talking about, I wouldn't have really thought to do that, I don't think. Or I might have thought of it, but I wouldn't have necessarily done it. I probably would have got distracted at the charity shop, really. But instead, I stuck to this instruction. I went to the hardware store and I bought 2 simple things. They might not be the right, like maybe they should have been a bit smaller, but I didn't really have a choice. That's what's there. It's good enough. It's an improvement. Let's see what happens next. So the light. I really despise this light, and the living room has one as well. You know, it's just so ugly. So I need some kind of light here. I want something more substantial, but you know, what are we going to get? So I've been on eBay looking at like vintage things and interesting things. So I ended up being quite enchanted by this chandelier. I think it's a bit frilly and fussy looking. It's not normally the type of thing that I'd go for, but in amongst all the other things that I was looking at, it stood out as one that had the most lights on it, and it looked to be the most expensive. So I've done Google Lens on it, and turns out it probably cost around £800 brand new. And I paid around £100, including delivery, and it's really big. So my approach with this is going to be the same as a lot of my things from the charity shop, which is it might not be the best thing in the world, but look where you're starting, hun. You know, calm down. It will definitely be an upgrade because this is so bad. So I'm gonna get someone to come around and install it, and we're just gonna reassess if I like it. I feel a little bit nervous because I think it might be a bit frilly and fussy, and especially after Liv's told me to get more contemporary things. I'd already bought that. I'd already bought this. So this might be a bit of a challenge that we have to deal with. I'm hoping though that it's just substantial and it's a light and it's got 12 bulbs on it. So I'm hoping just it's gonna be this bright, beautiful, sparkly light, and you won't think, it'll just like live in the room. It won't like overpower the room, hopefully.
So while I waited for the new light to arrive, I put the room back together with what we had so I could see what we have, how it's looking, what do we need, how is this coming together, and just like tidy it up, you know, because it's been quite a mess since I started this project. So just like using what I already had, putting everything into place. I tried a few different options of moving things around, but you always end up with like logistical things of like where the PowerPoint is and where something else is, and things kind of just fall into place as to where they end up. I definitely think it's really important to have a lot of nice plants in a room, and I fiddled around a little bit about what plant should go where and what was going to look the best. I tried a little bit with this old bunch of hydrangeas. I don't think these hydrangeas looked quite right, and I think it was time to get rid of these. I'm going to redo some at the end of this summer. But I realized I needed another kind of thing where the hydrangeas previously were, and I wanted something really green. So I went out into the garden to see what I could get.
When this is finished and it's time to update it, I think I've definitely taken cuttings from this one before and they lasted quite a long time. This is the liquid amber that turns bright red, bright yellow, like it's stunning in autumn. But I might actually try taking from this darker one. This is, I think, a European beech, I think it's called. This could look quite unique, like with the reddish colour. See what I mean about the leaves? They're like dark red, sort of brown. There's really interesting sort of colour to them. But for now, it's birch. But also, as I've been here, I've realised we have, I think, these are plums coming in on this tree here, and they're everywhere. So this will be fun in a couple of months.
Also, here's some of the floor samples I have for when we renovate. I'm comparing them now with this wall colour to see what works. Here's some of the other samples. I'm not quite sure yet what kind of colour I want, so I've got a pretty big collection of them. I've just been collecting samples. Let me know what you think if you have any ideas. The ones that are a little bit grey, I know I definitely don't want. I want something warmer than that. So anything sort of warm-toned wood is what I'm wanting.
So I've been wanting to hang this little mirror that I found. I got this on eBay. I have never seen anything like this, and I reversed image searched it and I couldn't find anything similar. It's just so cool. It's so heavy. It must be made of metal. Like, it's not wood, it's some kind of metal or something. It's so heavy. So I haven't been able to hang it yet because I need to be like really certain that it's not going to fall, because also if it did fall, it would fall on this one point and then probably break. Although I do really think it's made of metal. Maybe it's impossible to break it, but I've got to decide where to put it. It just is the perfect thing to put, I think, in like a little bit of a funny corner, which this room and this house generally has plenty of. So let's just have a little bit of a test and see where it should go. So I specifically hung it at the height where you see this. I think that looks really nice.
So my little fiddle leaf fig trees are not looking their best. They've had a little bit of a rocky road lately. So I do wish I had some plants that looked a little bit better, and I think I might keep my eyes peeled. But I'm also optimistic that maybe in this spot closer to the window, they might start to thrive again. So that's what I've got, even though I wish that they looked a little more healthy, but that's what we've got. It's really time for the last bits before we install the chandelier and reveal the final room. So I'm just painting the radiator here because it just stood out way too much. And I know you're not supposed to paint them, but I'm doing it anyway. I also added these little white stools underneath the console table just to bring in a little bit more white colour, and also to try to hide the cords because, you know, you can't avoid them if you want to have lamps. So I just thought this could be a good little way to hide the cords, add a little bit more white into the room, and also they can then act as extra seating if we ever need. Now, I took so long to finish off this room makeover that the birch cuttings I'd taken had really started to dry out and get crispy. So I didn't think I was going to be doing this so soon. I ended up getting these liquid amber cuttings because I've taken cuttings from this one before and I know that they last a long time. So I think we might go with the bright green for now, and then maybe for autumn, embrace that darker leaf. So stay tuned, make sure you subscribe if you want to see a bit of an autumn update. So after I replaced the old cuttings, there was just one final quick little DIY project I wanted to do. I wasn't really sure how this was going to turn out, but I think it turned out okay. I just kind of felt like I wanted something else on the walls in this room. I wanted something like a mirror, but not necessarily a mirror, just kind of like mirror-ish. And I just came up with this idea that I could try the technique I used in my gold tapestry project. I'll link to that video below so that you can see the whole technique. I went through a whole process of testing different approaches to create it. But I thought I could sort of use this same technique and make a little bit of a silver foil artwork, just a little bit abstract, a little bit interesting. And that can just be something a little bit unique on the wall. It still has like the reflectiveness and a little bit of brightness in the room, but it's not like just a mirror. You know what I mean? So I changed my technique halfway through this. At first I did all the pieces really close together. And as I went through it, I realized it actually would have been better if I'd have done it a little bit more with gaps in it. So it was just a little bit more abstract. So I sort of changed my approach halfway through. It was really just like a last minute kind of thing. But maybe this might give you an idea to do something yourself. And I used another one of my coffee bean bags. You can get these for free from Coffee Shop. I've done a few projects with these before. They're just like a really useful little thing for a quick little project. And it's really satisfying, this part where you're brushing off the excess. So I made the most of it and enjoyed the therapeutic elements of this, although it did make quite a mess. There was a lot of silver foil floating around the garden for a couple of days. I also had to cut down the bag a little bit because I didn't have enough of the silver leaf to do the whole width of the bag. So I just cut it down to the size that I could make it. Like, this is all very like DIY, figure it out as you go kind of thing. But I think it turned out quite well. But you can see here how I sort of changed my approach halfway. I suppose it adds to like the abstract nature of it, that it starts off quite a solid color and then sort of goes into a zigzaggy shape. So I literally just hung it on that hook there. I just thought this could be a nice little spot. It's opposite the window, so it should reflect some light. And it's just a bit of a thing. I don't know if it's going to stay there forever, but it was a project. I gave it a go. I do think it was a cool idea. Now, final touches, I actually remembered that I bought these refills. So there's this brand called Element Brooklyn that has candle refills for certain like high-end candle brands. So I bought this one, and I have to say it really does smell similar to the original one. So if you enjoy this candle, maybe you also might want to buy these refills. I'll link to them below. They also do diptyque ones as well, and I've got one of them, so I need to give that one a go as well. The final thing is these dining chairs, which I actually got these from Amazon. I'll link to them below. But now I want to show you the whole room with the light that has finally been installed. So here it is. So I hope you've enjoyed this dining room makeover. I'm planning quite a few makeovers in the future as well, so I hope you come along with me for them as well. And until then, I'll see you in the next video.